Alrighty, we got a league match here for the D League between catstealer419 and Ked, C-E-D. I really don't know. This is for one of the D divisions. I believe Catstealer is currently 3-3 in their division, and Ked is 0-0, this being their first match. So they're, I guess, functionally speaking, tied. Let's look at this kingdom. This looks interesting. So I'll say in a second what I think is the substantial aspect of this kingdom that I think makes it stand out. But first, going through the generic stuff, we have trashing. Apprentice can trash your cards. There's draw. Lost City can draw. City can eventually draw. And Way of the Horse means any card can be a draw card once. So like you take an acting troop or minion or whatever card. Instead of playing it the normal way, you can play it as Way of the Horse, and then you get like a laboratory effect once, but then it goes back to its pile. Action, again, plenty of action. Acting troop, city, lost city, procession, all action. Plus buy, we have that on Nomad Camp. I guess technically speaking, minion could be draw, and it could draw to X sense, but I don't think we're using minion here. So the real substantial thing that I think sticks out here is procession plus Way of the Horse. Anything like procession and horse related is just really good. And I'd be happy to use procession plus Way of the Horse on a bunch of my cards, because you send the card back instead of trashing it, but you still get to get the card, because gaining the extra card off of procession is not contingent upon it actually being trashed. And so you could just like spam processions and whatnot, or whatever cards you want, and then just keep processing them. They return to the pile, you get a new card anyway, you can process that. And I'd be pretty happy to play a bunch of procession and Way of the Horse stuff. It's not as strong as like procession plus an actual horse, because horses are usually easier to come by, but it still looks pretty good nonetheless. I'd definitely be wanting to play with procession here. And in general, I think you're building up pretty big with probably Apprentice for trashing, Nomad Camp for plus buy, maybe Lost City for draw if you need it. And I don't know, 3 piles seem relatively likely, I would think. So how do they open? Catstealer opens with Secret Passage Silver on 4-3. It's not bad. I'm probably looking to hit 5 early, get an Apprentice. I think I might even take the gamble buying a Nomad Camp turn 1. Silver's also fine. I think Secret Passage is fine. You're just looking to hit 5. Sed has the 5-2 out the gates, which I think is probably a bit better because you get to open Apprentice right away. There's no good 2 cost or anything, but I think I'd rather have an Apprentice in my deck immediately than a Secret Passage plus a silver. Plus, if you Apprentice in a state, you have a pretty good chance of hitting 5 anyway. Turn 3, Sed adds the silver. That seems totally fine. Catstealer gets a Nomad Camp on 4. I think that makes sense. Increases your chance of hitting 5 turn 4. Guide, Apprentice. Yeah, all this I like so far. I think Apprentice is clearly going to be your first 5 because you want to get trashed real early, and Apprentice is the only card that can trash here. Now where do we go from here? So Catstealer is currently deciding what to put back. I would think you definitely put an estate down there. Probably not at the very bottom, because they have an Apprentice in their deck somewhere, and you really want to line your Apprentice up with that estate. And all these states are currently in hand. There's no other states down there to trash. And you'd really rather your Apprentice be trashing estates than coppers early on, because A, estates are worse for your deck than coppers are because they give no money, and B, Apprentice will draw if it trashes an estate, whereas it won't draw if it trashes a copper, because copper costs nothing. So I think I'd be sticking the estate down there high enough that my Apprentice can hit it. It looks like that's what they did. I actually can't tell, but I'm pretty sure it says like on the bottom of their deck or on the top of their deck if they put it specifically in those spots. And then somewhere in the middle if it says otherwise. So I think they did, in fact, stick the estate somewhere back in the middle. Yeah, it looks like they did. I think that was the right play. Put it there. That would be real sad if like putting the estate on top of your deck ends up causing the Apprentice to miss out on the shuffle. But I think it's a gamble worth taking anyway. Now they get to trash the estate. They hit 5. They have a nice clean shuffle. Oh, and they actually drew a Nomad Camp, so they hit more than 5. So now they've got 8 to spend. Second Apprentice, Lost City. I mean, it could even just be like Procession and Nomad Camp would not be unreasonable. Procession, Secret Passage, that seems fine too. Secret Passage is not a bad target for procession. Alright, said hit 6. I feel like the Lost City is a little premature. I think I'd rather have a second Apprentice on my deck before I got the Lost City. And the Lost City is a laboratory and all, and that's good. It's also a village, but I don't think Sad really needs the village effect at the moment. They've only got the one terminal action card. And then, you know, the problem with getting Lost City too early is, like, if you're getting it for the early jumpstart for your deck, Lost City actually jumpstarts your opponent's deck before yours, because it gives them one draw immediately, and it gives you one draw the first time you draw back to it. And so it's I mean, a really strong card that you definitely want in your deck long term. But if I'm just trying to get my deck rolling as quickly as possible, I think I might just take a second Apprentice to get trash faster. Because, well, like, Apprentice will be pretty good when it's trashing estates, but once it gets to coppers, it's going to be a bit weaker. And if you're only valuing the Lost City for the draw effect anyway, you know, trashing a copper is about as good as getting a draw card. That being said, I don't hate the Lost City or anything. It's definitely a card you're going to want. Just maybe a minor inefficient play order. 4-3. As said, I'm probably looking to pick up a Procession now. And I guess a Guide. Secret Passage is alright. Secret Passage is one of those cards that's very, very rarely amazing, but usually just like an okay card to add to your deck if you have nothing better to do, because it just really adds a lot of reliability. You kind of guarantee you see the cards in the right order. The place where Secret Passage shines the most is in kingdoms where you interact with the top of your deck, you know, like Herald or Will-O-Wisp and stuff like that, where it can set those cards up to always succeed. I don't have any of that here, so Secret Passage is kind of like a meh card, but you're fine adding it because it's a decent target for your Procession to hit. So I think on the second play of Secret Passage, catstealer should absolutely play this as Way of the Horse. We'll see if they do that. Yeah. So if you play the Secret Passage twice normally, it's going to trash itself anyway. So either way, you're losing the Secret Passage, either because it goes back to the pile or because it gets trashed. And so your options are between play it as a horse and just get a normal laboratory effect, 2 cards, 1 action, or play it normally and get 2 cards, 1 action, and then be forced to put a card from your hand back into your deck, which there's no reason to do. In fact, I think that this was even a mistake. I think that they should have just played Procession of Secret Passage as Way of the Horse twice. And then they don't have to put any cards back in their deck. And he's getting a double laboratory effect and getting a 5-cost card. Alright, so as catstealer here, what am I thinking about? I'm probably thinking about getting a 3rd plus buy card soon. Could be another Nomad Camp and a Secret Passage, Nomad Camp and a Procession. You could maybe justify holding off on the second Nomad Camp one more turn, especially because you have the option, if you line them up, to potentially process the Nomad Camp you currently have. I'm not sure why they have a minion. What's the minion for? Like, the problem with minion is it doesn't play well with normal draw cards. Supposing you are drawing a bunch of cards with Lost City or Apprentice or City or whatever, and you got a big hand. Well, you're probably not going to want to pitch your big hand and discard it all to draw 4 cards. And so, if you have a minion in a deck like that, you're just going to be choosing the +2 option. And that's a real boring option. No, +1 action, +2 coins is basically the equivalent of getting a silver, because silver is also +2 coins and does not cost you an action. And so, minion just used for the first effect ends up being like a fancy $5 silver, which is to say not very good. Usually you get minion if you want to use the second effect a lot, the discard your hand, get 4 cards, and attack your opponent. But when you're doing that, you're usually building sort of a minion-centric deck, one that's got a bunch of minions and maybe a few other cards in it, and you're drawing with the minion, where you like draw 4 cards at a time, play them, draw 4 more cards at a time. And this kingdom doesn't really seems like super set up for that. I mean, you could do that fine, you like have like minions and nomad camps and acting troops, but I think it just seems weaker than the standard draw. And in any case, you don't really want to mix them very much. Because, like I was saying, if you draw a big hand, then it becomes extra bad to send it away with minion. So Cat Stealer processes the Nomad Camp. I would have thought that you wanted to process the Procession and then process the Nomad Camp. Like, Procession's a good card, but I'd be happy to turn it into 5 and draw twice. Maybe they're going to process the Minion? Are they discarded? Yeah, I don't think I'm loving this play order. I would happily play Procession on Procession, process the Nomad Camp for 2+ buys, and then use your second play of Procession as just Way of the Horse to send the Procession back to the pile. And then you've turned your Procession into a 5 cost, which I think is an improvement. You've got 2 extra cards in your hand to deal with. Hey, you don't have this dud card sitting around. Even if you want multiple Processions, you can buy them back with the extra money that you made. I like that they're both playing with Processions. I'm less convinced about this minion-centric strategy that catstealer is going for. Like, even if you're not getting a lot of the normal draw cards, which they are, I don't think minion plays exceptionally well with Way of the Horse either. Wonder what CED is waiting for. Oh, they're deciding which 5-cost card to get. Probably City still, I would think. Actually, do they don't have plus buy? Who has the plus buy card right now? It's hard to tell. You can't do the normal Control F test very effectively because the Nomad Camps are getting bought and then sit back when you process them. Let's see. Okay, CE does have a buy card in there, and that's fine. Again, I'd be thinking about getting a second plus buy card here. Like Nomad Camp and then another city? Or Lost City, I mean. Could be Nomad Camp Procession, Nomad Camp Secret Passage as well. But I think my buys here would be Nomad Camp and Lost City. What are they considering? Procession, okay. Nomad Camp. Lost City, okay. That's not bad. Now, given that they didn't add a second Nomad Camp, if I'm CED, I'm absolutely looking here to try to process my Nomad Camp this turn, because they're starting to hit more money than 2 buys can effectively utilize. And so you really want extra buys. Hello, gay nails. My secret admirer. I still don't love the minions in Catstealer's deck. Just real expensive silver. But I think this is anyone's game. I think the problem for Catstealer, though, is it looks like... I didn't point this out at the time. But they did process their Nomad Camp. But then they didn't pick up a new one. So they're now out of plus buy, which is real awkward. In fact, if I were Catstealer, I would actually strongly consider calling my guide here, even if I didn't need to, just to get the guide back in my deck. Because perhaps one of the easiest ways to pick up a extra plus buy here would be to process your guide and then get a Nomad Camp off of that mid-turn, and you can draw back to it and play it. In fact, you could play Procession on Guide once to send the guide to the mat, and then you could play the guide the second time as Way of the Horse, and you would get the +2 cards effect, and you wouldn't even send the guide back to the pile, because the guide would already be on your tavern map, and so unable to be moved back to the supply. So like Procession Guide, put it back on your put it back on your tavern mat on the first play, and then play as Way of the Horse the second play would be kind of a nice little interaction. Yeah, in any case, Catstealer's deck, it seems like the fundamental problem is lack of plus buy here. I think you probably just got to break down and buy a real expensive Nomad Camp here. So CED's got a guide down. I'm sure they'll call it here because this is the gross looking hand. I wouldn't mind, I guess, having extra guides as CED if I see my opponent playing with minions, because guide basically neutralizes the minion discard attack. Whenever you get discarded down to 4 cards, you just call your guide to get a new 5-card hand, and then you're happy. Plus, guide's a great target for your processions. You know, play it once as guide, play it twice as Way of the Horse, and then you're real happy. A CED, I assume you procession the Nomad Camp. Do you draw on? I think not. Let's see, they have 12 if they play it for money. I think I just play it for the money, and buy like a new Nomad Camp, a guide, and I guess a city might be better than Lost City at this point. I don't even know. Something like that. You definitely gotta buy back the Nomad Camp. And I think I'd pick up another guide with the intent to get another Nomad Camp off of processing that guide. City seems reasonable. The cities are about to activate as a result of the Lost Cities emptying. And if you start in the cities first and your opponent doesn't, then you can be the one to take the last Lost City and power up your own cities. Alright, I like the rebuying the Nomad Camp. Could consider... Okay, city and guide. I think that's a reasonable sequence of buys. Yeah, I like that. Alright, let's look at Catstealer's turn. I think I would apprentice the silver here. I kind of want to continue drawing. Wait, what did Catstealer actually buy last turn? I didn't even look. Hopefully it was a Nomad Camp. It was. Okay. Yeah, so as Catstealer, you really want to get to your Nomad Camp. So I think I'm trashing the silver here with the apprentice to get there. Could just trash the minion even. It's basically silver. That'll draw you 1 extra card. Yep, they pitched the silver. Yeah, I guess if you know there's a Lost City down there, then pitching the silver is better than pitching the minion, because you know you'll draw, regardless, either the Lost City bottom decks, or it doesn't bottom deck and then you play it to draw the Nomad Camp. Wait, I don't like this play order very much. Why play the Lost City first to draw the copper? If you're going to procession the Nomad Camp, then you can gain a card off of that Nomad Camp and draw it with Lost City. I mean, it's possible that you're just planning to... Okay, yeah, this is definitely the wrong order. If you were just planning to gain like a city or Lost City or something regardless, it doesn't really matter whether you can draw back to it. But given that they plan on gaining a minion, the better order there was process the Nomad Camp first, get the minion, and then play the Lost City to draw your minion, and you have a bunch of money. I'm pretty sure they've now top-decked 3 coppers. They have a guide, though. No, they don't have a guide anymore. They've called their guide, so they better be hoping their opponent calls a minion. I think they're going to luck out here, because I think CED is going to discard with their minion. But this play order from Catstealer seems real bad. A real big chance of dudding here if your opponent doesn't save you. Yeah, and buying a Nomad Camp, which, I mean, you kind of had to do, I guess, because you need the plus buy. But that's the 4th dud card that you're now top decking. So, CED, I think... I mean, I guess it would have been difficult for, like, CED to be tracking Catstealer's deck to that degree. But supposing they were able to identify, oh, my opponent just top decked 3 coppers and bought a Nomad Camp. There's almost no chance they draw next turn. I should just apprentice my minion to draw rather than pitch my cards with my minion and leave all that stuff on the top of my opponent's deck. K-Nail's trying to change the background. Is that the command for it? Does it not work for spectators, or is that the wrong command? There's some command that can cause you to change your background. Oh well. Oh, it's a slash. Ah, nice. Now I've gotten distracted. All right, so CED's got 13 money and 3 buys. Do they still have nomad camps around? Yeah, they've just gained a nomad camp, so they do have the 1+ buy. How low are piles? Nomad camp and procession are getting kind of low. Yeah, I think city plus province seems like a pretty good set of buys there. All right, so catstealer. Let's see, they processed their guide, which is good. I would think that you're gaining nomad camp here. Something I would perhaps start thinking about is, like, is there a way for me to set it up so that I can empty a second pile on my turn to power up my cities on my turn? Often it is the case that you don't want to take the last city, because it means your opponent gets the first crack at having a turn where cities are really strong, and then they win that turn. And so cities kind of sometimes get stuck at one left in the pile. And the big way around that is if you can gain a city mid-turn, then you get the city, and you're also the first one to be able to play a turn with those cities. So, for example, if you started your turn by processioning a secret passage to gain the last city, then for the rest of the turn all your cities would be powered up. I'm not yet sure whether this game's going to end on a 3 pile or provinces. The piles are staying high enough that it could end on provinces. So as catstealer, I assume you process a nomad camp, and then I don't know what their last card is. I wonder if they know. Is that a copper? They had 6 coppers earlier. I'm not sure if they've trashed one since. Yeah, I think they have 6. Wait, let me double check this. Yeah, they have 6 coppers. I'm pretty sure that last card's a copper, because they've trashed 3 estates, 1 copper, and a silver. So on the one hand, you don't really want to leave a copper on top of your deck. On the other hand, it's not like the most important card to draw 2. Alright, trashing the nomad camp. What do you gain? There could be. They both have a bunch of guides, so it's unlikely to be relevant now. But if your opponent ends up without a guide on their mat, one thing you could consider would be gaining a pillage and then trying to attack them. I don't think that pillage is likely to do much here, just because even if you hit them with it, they'll just call a guide, and then their turn will be fine anyway. So like right now, I don't think I would be trying to pitch my hand and draw back to the pillage this turn. Okay, this is double bad, because if you draw to the pillage after using minion, you don't even get to attack. Pillage only attacks them if they have a 5-card hand, which the minion attack guarantees they have a 4-card hand. So the pillage attack didn't even do anything. I think you could have considered just play the minion for money, and then pop your pillage next turn. Alright. So CED's turn. This is looking like a pretty good turn. I feel like CED's in the lead here. I'm not 100% sure they're going to win, but this is looking better for CED, I think. Although their deck might need a little bit more payload. This might be the point where as CED I start considering actually taking minions now. Because I think they're drawing well enough. And minion is just an easy card to get mid-turn. It's also possible pillage is better. Just like pillage for some spoils even. But I would assume here as CED you process the processions. And then you just use that as Way of the Horse a few times maybe to draw the rest of your stuff. And then you can get some minions or some pillages for money off of those procession plays. That looks like what they're going to do. I would think you draw first. Oh, they're going to process the Apprentice. Wait, I don't think I like that play order. I would have thought that you would want to process the third procession and then play that one as Way of the Horse. That works out fine anyway. They find the Nomad Camp regardless. This basically, I think, means they have one more procession in the deck going in next turn and one less 5 cost, which is fine. I think you could consider taking the pillage here. I think you've got enough draw to get back to the spoils if you pop it. Yeah, they take the pillage. Oh, no, well, it's not going to matter. They're going to draw anyway. But if you only have one card left here, and you're going to play a card that draws 2, I would think you play the pillage that puts the spoils in there before drawing. They have enough draw to draw it either way. So now catstealer, their turn's not really shot by the pillage because they can call guides. But it's still... Oh, what? Yeah, that's it. I was wondering if you wanted to spin all the spoils. I think probably double province nomad camp here is good. I think that's what I'd do. You definitely want a nomad camp because you have lost all your plus buy. It is possible for them to... Actually, do they have a guide? I don't think they have a guide in their deck right now. I know they called a guide. They did call a guide. So I think they could get a nomad camp by processing the guide anyway, even if they didn't buy one. But now that becomes more of an imperative than a luxury. Yeah, I would have thought that you count up what you want to buy before playing all the spoils, because I would rather have a spoil in my deck than not. I was thinking that if you're playing them both, it was because you wanted like double province nomad camp. But if they're only going to spend 17, I think definitely should have saved that spoils. A little bit of awkward position here as catstealer. The minion draw, I think, is... It's not really all that good because you still have a bunch of junk in your deck. Like, none of these decks ever got fully clean. They've got coppers. They now have green cards. And if you're pitching your hand to draw new cards, all those cards are going right back into the shuffle. You have to draw them a second time. What are you taking here? Probably a province, I think. And then 7's kind of an awkward number. I'm not exactly sure what you take on 7. Do they have any nomad camps left in their deck? I don't know. Let's see. No, there's 6 in the trash, so they definitely don't have nomad camps in their deck. I guess you take a nomad camp and a guide. Okay, so they're not adding any plus buy to their deck, which basically means they have to process that guide to get plus buy. Alright, a CED, I think you're again looking to process the processions here to continue drawing. They're trashing their minion, or not trashing, technically, sending it back to the supply. Not sure why, though. You could have drawn with the processions. Alright, I like taking the nomad camp. Maybe just a minion here. You could take the pillage as well. Of course, if you play the pillage, you don't get to draw back to the spoils, but the attack itself, I guess. No, it doesn't really hurt. They still have a guide. Alright, now what do you take? I guess single province, and then nomad camp? Single province, lost city? Do they have guides in their deck? I don't think they have a guide in their deck right now. Or no, they called a guide, but then I think they've got a guide in there somewhere. So I think they could have afforded, if they wanted to, just like buy a city with the intention of processioning the guide for their plus buy. But in any case, I like leaving it at 3 provinces because these decks I don't think can realistically do triple province, but they can reasonably do double. And so with 3 provinces left, taking a province is now awkward for Catstealer because CED, I think, could pretty easily double province here. I would think that Catstealer plays procession on procession, then procession on guide. Yeah. Alright. And then process the other guide. Do they have any other cities in their deck? Because if they take another nomad camp, they'll actually activate the cities. If I think CED might have a majority of the cities, in which case maybe Catstealer could consider taking a procession here instead. Yeah, either way, it kind of looks awkward for Catstealer unless you can win this turn. So to win, they would need... They can gain a second nomad camp or procession. Actually, procession might be better here. You take the procession, you process the nomad camp. Now you're still 1 buy short. Because you'll need 3 buys to empty the nomad camps and the processions. And then you need a 4th buy to score. I don't think they have a 4th buy in their deck. I could be mistaken. Oh no, this actually might work. They have a city in there. I think they could win here with enough money. They might have it. So they just need to hit 12 plus 8, so 20 with 4 buys. That looks doable, right? Yeah, I think they might have it here. Let's see. In their hand, they've got 4, 10, 14, 16, yeah, 18. I think they've got enough to win here. I think. I'm not sure what those last 2 cards are. But I think if you take a spoils off of this, and then you like apprentice 1 minion to draw the pillage, or not spoils, you take a pillage off of this, apprentice 1 minion to draw the pillage, pop the pillage for spoils, play the other minion as way of the horse to draw the spoils, then play the last nomad camp. I think you have enough money then to buy the processions in the province. Or maybe even easier than that way. I'm looking on the processions. You could just lower the cities even. That's probably the simpler way. Just take a city here, and then you only need 3 buys and a province and 18 money. So that's even simpler. Um, yeah, I hope they're not trying to hit 24, because that's more than they need. So now in their hand, they've got 10. Yeah, they got enough money. I'm not sure why they return Dominion to draw a city. And that's returning 2 coins for 1 coin. But, I mean, they have enough money either way. Alrighty. Yeah, it kind of felt like CED was in the lead for a lot of that game, but catstealer snuck it out at the end. It wasn't like a huge lead or anything. And we saw that thing I was talking about earlier, which is you got to watch out for the possibility of cities activating on your turn, and then all of a sudden your deck just gets a lot stronger, which we saw here. I wasn't a huge fan of the minion-based strategy, though. There are a lot of hands where they had to pitch a bunch of cards, and I think that was worse than just having, more cities or lost cities for the most part. Ooh, another strong kingdom. Although, so there's no trashing here, which is going to be the major limitation. But that being said, there's plenty of draw. Wharf, Archive, City, Faithful Hound, Overlord is any of those cards. You can definitely draw here. And then villages, we got Academy is a great village. Fortress is a village. City is a village. Ghost Town is a village. You got plus buy with Wharf or Storeroom or a Courtier or eventually City. Yeah, so there's no trashing here, but there's more than enough strength here to build regardless. How do you open? On 4-3. I think I might consider just opening Overlord on 4-3. I like all the 5s a whole lot better than I like all the 4s. Looks like catstealer is going to open maybe double silver or silver Overlord. That's also fine. I think on 3-4 maybe silver Overlord slightly stronger. If I'm not taking Overlord turn 1, I'm pretty sure I'm taking it turn 2. Yeah. Get functionally a 5-cost card into your shuffle. Seeing it turn 3 is nice. As catstealer, surely you play this as Wharf. Yeah. You can consider buying another Overlord here. It's not unreasonable because you're about to trigger a shuffle with your Wharf next turn. Then again, you're also about to hit 5, most likely. Well, yeah, you're almost certainly going to hit 5. So you could consider not buying the Overlord just so that you're not in debt. It will be nice to hit some natural 5s, though. Like, rather than buying Overlord to get a functional 5-cost card in your deck, you want to hit 5 to get Academy and Relic at some point. Because both of those are strong, and obviously you can't get them with Overlord. What does catstealer do here? Could just be Courtier for, like, coins and gold is an option. Could be Wharf. Wharf's always good. I think I like the Courtier play. And then buy a Fortress is probably better than Ghost Town. Ghost Town's fine as well, though. The benefit of Ghost Town is it goes straight into your hand, so you get like immediately next shuffle. Like once Ghost Town is in your deck, it's basically like a village. It says +1 card +1 action, compared to villages +1 card +2 action. But it's still a village anyway, because unlike village, you don't have to spend an action to play Ghost Town. It's a night card, not an action card. So the functional equivalent of either this or a normal village card, like say Fortress here, is net 1 action. Now the benefit of Ghost Town is that immediate benefit is you get it straight to your hand, you get to play it immediately the next turn, and so the very first turn you bought Ghost Town, you're getting like a little extra +1 card out of it. Now the long-term detriment to Ghost Town relative to Fortress is that once you're drawing your deck, each Ghost Town is basically going to be like half a village in the long term, because you'll play the Ghost Town one town. You'll play the Ghost Town one turn, get the village effect the following turn, and you have to play another Ghost Town that turn to get the village village effect the turn after that. So you need like 10 ghost towns to get 5 village effects. You need to play 5 each turn. Oh, that's a real unfortunate shuffle. Whereas if you bought 5 fortresses is 5 villages every turn because you can play the fortress every single turn. So I could see an argument for either of them. I guess if I were to make an argument for Ghost Town, it's it's a good target for Courtier, I guess, because it's 2 types, although there's plenty of those in that kingdom. And then B is once you get Academy, you're probably not going to be too much struggling on villages in the long term. You won't need a bunch of them. And so maybe that short term oomph of 1 extra card from Ghost Town, the very first turn, is worth it, even if it's less of a good village in the long term compared to Fortress. Could be Academy time. Relic also seemed fine. I think this is a kingdom where you might lose a little bit of deck control and be fine with it. Like, between Courtier and Commerce, it'd be pretty easy to shove a ton of golds in your deck and then end up with a deck that like doesn't quite have full deck control but has a ton of draw and a ton of golds anyway. And then you're still hitting double or triple province even if you don't quite draw and play everything every turn, especially given that you can't trash. But definitely I think you're, in general, looking to add a ton of draw, given that there's a lot of strong cards in this kingdom, but nobody to trash. Like, Wharf will be a very important card. What do you buy here? CED. Faithful Hound? Overlord seems alright. Catstealer here. This could be Academy Hound. Academy Hound Overlord, maybe. Probably just Academy and Hound, I think. I guess one minor synergy for Faithful Hound is you could get a bunch of hounds and then just discard them all with Storeroom and then functionally turn Storeroom into a draw card. Like, you just have like 10 hounds in your starting hand every turn, and then whenever you draw your Storeroom, you just discard the hounds for plus 10 cards. I'm not sure that's really worth doing or anything, but that'd be cute. Yeah, I think Academy Storeroom seemed, or not Academy Storeroom, Academy Faithful Hound seemed like a pretty good buy there. Yeah, they're doing the Storeroom Faithful Hound thing. Okay. I would really want to get Academy before I start buying a bunch of those cheap action cards, though, to get a bunch of extra villagers. Because like, you buy Academy once, and you're kind of covered for villages, probably for most of the game. That'll save you a lot on fortresses and ghost towns and such later on. I'm not sure what's down there as CED. You can consider drawing one with Wharf if there's not a whole lot of action cards. Is that like all their shelters plus their copper? Oh, yeah, so it's their other 2 shelters are Ghost Town and a copper. Then definitely drawing one with Wharf seems good. Ghost Town seems alright. I think Storeroom might have been better there for CED. They've already got all their action cards in play because they just played a bunch of Overlords as Dwarfs. And I wouldn't mind discarding my shelters for a few coins. You can get the Ghost Town next turn when you're going to need it again. Alright, I like the Academy. I like the 2 more Faithful Hounds. I think that's a good sequence of buys. Does someone named Catstealer really like cats or dislike cats? Because like on the one hand, you probably have to really like cats a lot to want to steal them. But on the other hand, it's not a very respectful thing to do towards the cats. So you can't like cats enough that you actually care about them very much if you're going to steal them. I am not. I was just considering that they seem very invested in the dog pile and wondering whether that might be related to their opinions on pets writ large. Alright, so CED's adding gold. That seems fine. This could be 2 more wharfs and a ghost town. Oh no, they don't have Academy yet. I think Academy Wharf Ghost Town might be good. Then again, they also have a ton of action. They have a bunch of ghost towns. Relic Wharf Ghost Town, Relic Academy Ghost Town. They have to take an Overlord. That's alright, but I think I'd rather the Wharf at this point. Because you're going to be wanting to play a bunch of your Wharfs as... Or a bunch of your Overlords as Wharfs anyway, because it's in general, the best 5-cost card here. And while Overlord's a little bit better because it has flexibility, I don't think it's enough better that if I had enough money, I wouldn't just buy the Wharf instead and save myself 3 coins. I can infer from this you must like panda bears and guys a lot. My opinion on nails is, I guess, one of indifference. I think it's possible to have something you dislike in your name. Like, isn't there like a Dominion account titled like Silver Hater? I don't think they like silver. It could be that they just really want to express their disdain for cats. Like that fella from the Aristocats movie. See, I think... Is Faithful Hound good here? Faithful Hound is better for Cat Stealer's deck, because they've got Academy, so it gets them a Villager, and they've got Storeroom, so they can discard it easily. But it wouldn't necessarily be bad in CED's deck. Overlord, like this, is also fine. You know, the one problem with the Mass Overlord strategy is I find myself falling into this trap sometimes as well. It's like Overlord's a really good card, but at some point, like if you know, for example, that the cards you really want here are mostly going to be like Wharves anyway, like that's what you're using most of your Overlords for. If you find yourself paying $8 for each Wharf, like 5 times, instead of like $5 for each Wharf, that is itself setting your deck back a bit. And the benefits of Overlord are A, you can get it into your deck earlier, like you can buy it when it's not actually, you haven't actually hit 5, and then B, like you can play it more flexibly, like if there's a situation where you'd rather a Courtier, you can play it as such. But in general, I think often the best strategy is just to have like an Overlord or 2, and then more of the action cards you really wanted to play with the Overlord, because they're just overall cheaper, and you can get your deck running a little bit faster if you're not spending 8 each time. And so I think it might be the case that they've gone a little bit too heavy on Overlords to the exclusion of actually buying the Wharfs, which are still at 9. Cities are now activated. This one is looking, I think, to be in Cat Stealer's favor. I like that they have Academy. And the Storeroom Faithful Hound thing, I think, is working out well enough. I think the main thing going for CED is they have all the golds? They at least have 2 of the golds. No, they have 2 of the golds. So they're slightly ahead in payload, I guess. City here might even be better than Wharf. CED needs the action more. As Cat Stealer, I think Wharf might still be the better card. That's interesting they're playing the Faithful Hounds normally. I would have thought they would just discard them with Storeroom. Necropolis, then Overlord's Wharf, I would think, would be the next two things I'd play. I mean, I'm definitely looking to do some gain and play stuff with the courtier. I mean, I think you could draw your deck first before doing that. Why are they not playing the Necropolis? Don't really understand that. Surely this one should be a wharf, right? Another courtier? Okay. I'm a little skeptical of this play order. But the problem is if you just pitch a bunch of this stuff to draw, you might have the risk of top decking a bunch of bad cards. Okay, I've top decked 2 cards that I believe are both bad. Actually, one of them's a gold, which is, I mean, the top of your deck's a bad place for the gold to be. I don't think I was a big fan of that play order. They still seem to be in the lead, though, I would think. Could you consider, I think, Faithful Hound Ghost Town here? Could also just buy a city or a wharf. I really wish they would have played more Overlords as Wharfs there, though. Like, Wharf's not just going to benefit you this turn. It's going to benefit you even more the next turn. And then you can be doing more gain and play stuff with Courtier more reliably. I also think it would have been nice if they had used more of the Faithful Hounds as storeroom discard targets. Which, again, I think is less good the turn you do it, but better for the following turn. Like, I think this turn would be looking better had they done those things. Instead, they have to keep spinning their Faithful Hounds for a draw. I think they're still going to make it into the deck. I would just discard the city and the hovel for money, I think. I don't think you want to trigger this shuffle. I don't think that's worth it. Yeah. Right, this does look like a commanding position, I think, for Catstealer. Actually, you could have considered not discarding the hovel. Maybe it's important to count up how much money you needed. Because if, as it turns out, yeah, look at this. I would have been happy to have 21 there to buy 2 provinces and a 5-cost card. And then leave the hovel in hand so you can trash it. Wharf is good. Could have also just been like 3 Faithful Hounds. Would not have been bad. So I think as CED, I don't think you can safely take 2 provinces. But it's taking 1 province losing. Like, I don't think I'd be playing my Overlords as Courtiers here. I think as CED I'd be thinking, I can't win this turn. So I gotta be shooting to win next turn. And again, playing your Overlords as Wharfs is the sort of thing that sets up for a win on the following turn. Because you get all the benefit the following turn. So I'd buy like a province here, some duchies. That would be 18. And then add in like a Faithful Hound, I guess. Province, double duchy, Faithful Hound. I think double province is losing. I think that... Oh, no, they have more money than I thought they did. Province... no, they have exactly as much money as I thought they did. Yeah, the province double duchy Faithful Hound, I think, is probably the best. The problem with the city play, I think, is if your opponent just takes double province here, then you can't outscore them even if you get a turn. Because they'll have 30, and you would need to do province and quintuple duchy, which your deck is just not doing right now. Oh, do they have oh, are they hitting 24? So I guess it probably didn't matter in that case. Let's see. 9, 11, 13, 18. Yeah, they got a store room. Alright, yeah, I guess they do have the one after all. Nine, 11, 13, 20, 21, 2. Yeah, they have more than enough money. Yeah, so given that it looks like Catstealer was going to hit 24 regardless, there probably wasn't a winning play for CED in the previous turn. So 2-0 for Catstealer. All right, Third Kingdom. What have we here? So the draw, cavalry can draw, gets you 2 horses, so it's functional like +2 cards. Scrying Pool is a great draw with action-heavy decks. Actions, Border Village is a source of plus action, and well, that's it. Trashing, Transmute can trash, Replace can trash, Expand can trash. Plus buy, Wine Merchant is plus buy, Replace can gain you cards, Expand can gain you cards. Also, a little interesting thing to note is if you remodel something into a cavalry, you get plus buy. Normally cavalry is like buy neutral, because you buy the cavalry, you get the buy back. So if I had like 16 coins and 1 buy, I could buy 2 cavalries and buy a province, because the cavalry covers its own buy cost by giving another buy. But supposing I like remodel an estate into a cavalry, I didn't actually spend a buy to get the cavalry, but I did gain a cavalry, so I get the +1 buy. And so I actually then have 2 buys once I get to my buy phase. So theoretically you can get some extra buy doing that. So what do you do here? I actually think Transmute could see play here. Like this is like a real novel ideal kingdom for it, isn't it? Like you're going to get the potion anyway because you're going to want Scrying Pool. It's clearly the best to draw. And then maybe there's a turn where you pick up the Transmutes because you'd really like to turn your coppers into Transmutes because Scrying Pool can draw action cards really well, but it can't draw coppers. And so maybe you turn the coppers into Transmutes, and you turn your estates into golds, and then replace those golds up into provinces. I could definitely see a world where Transmute might get bought. Like especially if I'm hitting 1+ potion, I'm buying Transmute over nothing. I really want to see Transmute see play. Reason being is Transmute's normally just such an abysmal card that you never ever buy it. It's like in contention for worst card in the game. And so seeing a kingdom where you actually consider getting Transmute is kind of a change of pace. Anyways, how do you open? 1, 3, 4. 3, 4 could be silver cavalry, silver potion. Could just open with like Overlord to go straight into replaces. Like, I'd be really happy if I saw my Overlord turn 3, then paid off the rest of my debt, and then like top decked a potion for the following turn. That'd be really nice. I think I'm talking myself into an Overlord opening again. I'd really love to be able to just replace an estate into a potion straight for the top of my deck, and then also get the Scrying Pool. And so then I'm not even behind from the person who opened potion directly, and I've trashed an estate. I think that's my answer. Like, I don't super much want silver here long term. I understand the need to get silver because you kind of want to hit 5s and 6s here for replace and border village and whatnot. But I'd be happy if I keep the silver out of my deck and do that via other means. Because treasures just don't play nice with Scrying Pool. Okay, so Catstealer goes Silver Overlord. Yeah, so I like that as well. Catstealer actually has a nice turn 3 shuffle here. I think here you play the Overlord as Replace and top deck a potion. It'll be a little bit risky because they only have 3 coins right now to pay off the debt. So they'll need to hit 3 plus potion, which is actually not that guaranteed. Huh. Yeah, that's a little bit more of a gamble. And you... No, you do that anyway. Yeah, top deck the potion because if you hit 1 plus potion, you can buy transmute anyway. The transmute play might happen here. Alright, potion. I really wanted to miss 2 plus potion just so they get forced into the transmute play. Alright, yeah. Take the transmute. Take it. Come on. Buy transmute. Or did they... No, they didn't do it. Oh, no. Oh, no. Take the transmute. Rip. That was the key moment that it could have happened. We saw the transmute play that could have been. Play order wise, I actually have no real opinion on what order you play the cards in. I think Pool plus Haven is actually probably better because you see more total cards to potentially set aside with Haven. And so you can make a more informed choice as to what to set aside. Like maybe you're like, oh, I wanted to hit 4 for Cavalry or something, and I've already hit 4, so I can set aside the 5th Copper, or vice versa. Like I really want to hit 5, so I'd rather set aside the estate. I'm still bummed we didn't see the transmute buy. Oh, yeah, Scrying Pool makes sense. Obviously, you don't buy transmute when you could buy a Scrying Pool. Scrying Pool is just a much better card. All right, we still got a chance. Take it, take it. Come on, take it. You got a potion. Play the potion. Take the transmute, please. I just want to see it. Do it. Do it. All right. Let's go. I'm rooting for CED now. CED can get a village? Don't you want to add one? I mean, I agree Border Village is really good here. It's just, I mean, I guess they'll probably hit 6 with a hand like this. I'm not sure of the quality of their deck, but this seems like a hand that's pretty likely to hit 6. Yeah, so the generic problem with transmute is at least twofold. First is it's super slow. You know, your trashing is something you want to do early. You want to get trash as fast as possible. Transmute, you first have to buy a potion, then draw through your deck to find the potion. Then buy a transmute, then draw through your deck to find the transmute. And so you've gone through this whole process where you had to shuffle your deck at least two total times before you've even gotten the first transmute play in. So it's slow relative to a trash you add in immediately. Secondly, trashers always have this sort of problem where the first time you add them to your deck, you're actually making your deck a little bit worse in the short term. You know, like if I add in a Forager or something like that, or a Trading Post or whatever card, my number of stop cards has now gone up from 10 to 11 because I've added that card that its only purpose is to trash. So in the short term, my deck's actually got even more bad cards in it. And then it trashes the first card, and now it's broken even. You're back down to 10 cards, and it trashes the second card. You're down to 9 cards, and so forth. Now consider Transmute. You have to add Potion, which is a junk card, then add Transmute, which is another junk card. So you now added 2 cards, and so you then have to play Transmute kind of 3 times before you even done anything with it. Because the first 2 plays are kind of making up the fact that you had to add 2 junk to your deck to even use the Transmute in the first place. So it's slow to get going. You have to shuffle through twice before you even play it the first time. And you need to play it more times before you've even done anything of value with it. And so it's really bad from the get-go. And then it has this third problem of it's not even really thinning your deck at all. Because it turns action cards into duchies, which is also not good for your deck. Treasures into transmutes, which are also not good for your deck. Victory cards into gold, which are not terrible for your deck, but are also a stop card. So it's not actually making your deck any thinner at any point, because it's changing one stop card into another stop card. And so it's just kind of like all around a really, really terrible card. But here we kind of have a lot of situations that make it look a lot more viable than usual. First is, you're getting the potion anyway for Scrying Pool, so that whole point of like, oh, you added a dud card is kind of irrelevant. And then secondly, they happen to have debt going on, and so there's situations where they might not even be able to afford the scrying pool. And if you've got the potion already, then it's kind of like, is transmute better than nothing? And like transmute has a hard time competing with like actual cards, but it stands a fighting chance of being better than nothing at all. And then thirdly is with scrying pool around, although you're turning one junk card into another junk card by turning a copper into a transmute, it's an action card, and so scrying pool can draw it a lot better. Anyways, let me get caught up. I'm kind of losing my track now. Wait, transmute's gone. What happened? Where'd it go? Trashes. Oh no! It's kind of a clever little interaction. But why don't you like play a transmute first? Oh, I'm so sad. I mean, I can see the logic for it. I wasn't looking at the specific situation when they did it, but like you do get your top deck of scrying pool. It's not a terrible idea, but I really wanted to see the transmute plays. Yeah, transmute can be replaced into a scrying pool because the way replace works is you can turn a card costing into a card costing into 2 more. And so transmute's cost is potion. Scrying pool's cost is 2 plus potion, so it does cost 2 more. Now if one card has like potion in its value and the other card doesn't, how do you compare those sorts of costs? You couldn't turn like copper into scrying pool because scrying pool doesn't cost 2 more than copper. It costs 2 plus potion more than copper. And so it would need to cost exactly like the same in terms of potions and 2 more in terms of money for replace to work. If you have a card like Scrying Pool that costs 2 plus potion and a silver that costs 3 plus no potion, neither costs more than the other. They are merely incomparable in value because there's no number of potions that converts to silver or coins, I mean. All right. So Cat Stealer, where do we stand? I would think that that's a pretty good play. You could have considered turning the cavalry into a border village as well, and then just gain a cavalry, because border village is pretty valuable here. I'm not sure which is better. I'm still lamenting the loss of the transmute. It's going to take me a minute to get my motions back in check. Actually, perhaps better than the Haven. I would have seriously considered, I was actually about to say the same thing I think Apostolos or Ruler is thinking of, is you could turn the copper into an estate. And with a replace and a generic 2-cost card, it's often roughly equivalent-ish to turn your copper into like a Haven versus turning it into an estate. Because if you turn the copper into a Haven, you've gotten 1 junk out of your deck. You've turned a copper into a card that isn't a bad card. If you turn the copper into an estate, you haven't really thinned your deck, because 1 copper into 1 estate is still junk, but you've added a curse to their deck. And so it's the choice between thinning your deck by 1 and thickening their deck by 1, which are usually roughly equivalent. But in this case, if you got the estate, it would actually come with 3 victory points. And so I think that would probably be enough to give me a clear reason to take the estate over the Haven, given that they're otherwise pretty similar in terms of trashing versus junking purposes. Second potion, fascinating. I assume you save the cavalry, play the wine merchant, and you're buying 2 scrying pools here. Could still be transmute. They do kind of need more border villages, I think. I would seriously consider just turning this cavalry into a border village. Yeah, looks like they're doing that. And what do you gain with it? Wine merchant? I think they need the plus buy. All right, let's see. What's their border village count looking like? Two. In 1 turn. I assume the piles that you're thinking of would be like Scrying Pool, Haven, and Cavalry. I mean, Cavalry's can run really fast. That's fair. But I think one turns is a little bit high. Like, I don't think their decks have enough to buy 5 Cavalry. Is that right? I don't think they don't even really have like 20 money in them. And they have the Replace and the Overlord, which could be a Replace. So maybe. My guess is it gets into pilot territory realistically once the border villages get low. Because they're going to want a bunch of those. And like border village plus cavalry is really scary for pilot purposes. In any case, I still am kind of eyeing those aqueduct points. I would not mind turning a copper into an estate. Give you a little bit of a buffer against the pilot threats as well. I would probably be looking right around now to be doing some potential border village gain in place stuff, so I can play more total terminal action cards. So they have 2 potions. Gains a potion. No, Catstealer has 3 potions, and yet no transmutes. I was considering if they had 2 potions, turning 1 potion into a border village now, because you only need 1 to buy the last Scrying Pool. But they kind of need that potion, I guess. I think here I'd probably just remake something in, or not remake, replace something into a victory card for the aqueduct points. They gained a cavalry. That's alright. I think they're a bit over-terminaled right now. Play the border village, replace cavalry into another border village, gain a duchy, maybe? I think that's my preferred play at the moment. I wouldn't have played that first. I don't like playing the Haven first. I would think that you play the Overlord, replace cavalry into border village duchy, and then play the Haven to draw the border village, and then the border village to draw the wine merchant, and then you can play all 3 of your action cards. Now you have no more draw to draw back to the border village even if you gain it. I mean, you could do like border village cavalry. Does that even work? I don't think that works. I don't know. It does work. That border village is an on gain effect. So you could like gain border village, gain cavalry, and draw it that way. But then I feel like kind of a waste. Border village duchy, and then border village something else. I don't think I'm looking to spend all 10 here, because I want to take all 8, because my wine merchants are on the mat. So I think here could be a good time for border village duchy. You could do border village cavalry, and then remake the other cavalry, or replace the other cavalry into border village duchy. I really kind of want a few points here, because piles are going to be low soon. Now that border village is low, cavalry is low, haven is low. Like if you gain a border village, you gain border village, gain cavalry, you've lowered those by 2, and got an extra buy. Alright, yeah, I like that. I think CED now is threatening to pile out if catstealer doesn't do anything about that. Wait, would they be out of actions? You might be right. I don't remember the action count. In any case, you know, as CED, I'm now seriously thinking about remodeling stuff into border villages and gaining cavalries. Yeah, this looks like it's a win for CED. Buy a transmute, catstealer. It's your last chance. This game's gonna be over. Don't end it with that. Yeah, right. Yeah, there we go. Realistically, I think transmute probably is better than nothing there. In any case, this looks like it should be a win. Scry pull now. I would think you're looking for another optimal replace target, which would probably be your cavalries. I would keep playing scrying pulls until I found those, I think. Yeah, this is definitely one. There's way more than enough in hand. Replace potion would work. Lots of stuff would work. Alright, CED put some points on the board. It's going to be 1-2 going into game 4. So, I mean, like, CED did end the game with more points here. But when you consider that Catstealer is the one who ended the game with a transmute in their deck, you know, who's the real winner? That's true. It's not too late. Take it, please. No. They could have bought a transmute there. Alrighty, what have we here? No trashing. Well, not really. I guess in a technical sense, Taxman trashes cards. But, I mean, it's Taxman. You're not really making your deck any thinner by turning your coppers into silvers and your silvers into golds or anything. So, you're playing with a bunch of stop cards. Inevitably, Hunting Party seems like it'll be really good. It's like a laboratory that guarantees you find decent cards. So I think you're playing some sort of like, I don't know, like quasi halfway engine thing where you play some hunting parties, maybe play some bandit camps a little bit. But you're not really, I don't think, ever going to have full deck control here. How do you open? I don't know. Room, perhaps? I think it could just be double silver into hunting parties, but I think I might take groom silver instead. I could even see an argument for like, does Armory play well with Gamble or not? What would you be top decking with Armories? I guess it doesn't really. Probably what you would be getting with like silvers or something, and then gambling silver is just totally neutral. Yeah, I think I would open groom silver and be kind of happy flooding my deck with silvers here, because I don't think you're ever going to build a deck that really needs or wants to get full deck control. But silver is also fine. You could gamble worms, although how important is that going to be? Like, I would expect the estates to run pretty low naturally just because of Necropolis being around. And then the first few times you run into that, you'll be playing that. So Catstealer goes for Armory. CED goes for Grooms. I think I prefer the Groom. But the Armory, I mean, it's not bad. You could like gain a Groom here and then gamble it. Flag's not bad. This is kind of a kingdom where I wouldn't really want to take the flag first, though, because having more flag barriers in your deck that you cannot get rid of by any means at all does seem kind of bad. So I think I would wait for my opponent to take the flag and then take it back. Like that. And then I think play the treasures and gamble. I don't think I want another 4-cost here. I think I'm probably just buying a silver. I'd be happy to get a copper off the top. maybe you hit your hovel and you're a little bit sad, but then, I mean, you still discarded your hovel, so you're still fine. You can buy a pawn or something. Yeah, I think the things that come with Groom are better here than the ability of Armory or top deck stuff for the most part. Although, again, Armory putting Groom on top to gamble is still kind of nice. No, don't discard the horse. Oh no, they passed up on a free estate. They could have played the horse as Way of the Worm. Rip. There goes one victory point down the drain. The fact that neither of them has Hunting Party yet is a little bit sad. Well, they both had 5 Bandit Camp, which I guess kind of makes sense for the deck composition. They have a bunch of terminals. So they want the undo. I guess they're going to play the Armory instead. Or maybe they're going to play it for Way of the Worm, because they decide they don't want more. I think in catstealer's shoes, I would probably play the Groom for 2 silvers. Yeah, alright, they did that. I like that. Now, do you gamble? No, don't no! Again. The estates, they're free. Take them. I mean, obviously you wouldn't take a free estate if it went to your deck, but obviously putting it on your exile mat is basically like 1 free victory point, and they're passing up on each time. I wasn't sure whether you wanted to trigger that shuffle or not. On the one hand, all of your shelters are in there. On the other hand, the stuff that's missing the shuffle is not amazing either. This is a good hand for catstealer. Get Armory for something. Buy a Hunting Party. I think I prefer CED's position. Just more silvers, I think. Hunting Party pawn. Yeah. Could also have been Hunting Party gamble. Maybe that was even better. I'm not sure. Yeah, so one potentially awkward problem with the flag in these kingdoms where there's no trashing at all is, so supposing you take it first, and you've got a deck that's already got terminals in it. The flag is itself kind of a junk card, and you're getting 1 extra draw, but you also have 1 extra junk in your deck. And so it kind of neutralizes the effect a bit. Like, obviously, you only draw the junk card once per shuffle, whereas you draw 1 extra card every turn, so it's not, like, fully canceling it out. But it's, like, not that great. And then if you take the flag second, well, you get to draw every turn, and you both now have 1 junk card in your deck. So you're sort of getting a more straight-up +1 card every turn benefit without any drawback. And if they take the flag back with the 3rd flag bearer, now you have 2 junk in your deck to their 1, and you're drawing an extra card, but again, you have an extra junk card in your deck. And so there's just kind of a more unadulterated benefit to taking the flag second than taking it first, because you're getting the benefit of the flag without having to have an extra junk card in your deck at any point in time. You just have an equal number of flag bearers to your opponent. Plus, if you follow that chain all the way to the end of the flag bearer pile, you are the one who ultimately ends up with the flag. In kingdoms where you can trash the flag bearer later, it's, I think, less clear on when to take it. I think the main thing that would compel me to take the flag first in a kingdom like this would be if for some reason I could tell that my opponent was not going to be able to contest it for a bit, like if I could hold on to it for 3 or 4 turns, like they had just taken a bunch of debt or something, then I might consider buying it. So does Cat Stealer just take Province here? Maybe? Again, it's not a kingdom where you need to build super big. I think Province would be justifiable. You could also just take Hunting Party Silver or something. How did they do double Hunting Party? Didn't they have 8? I mean, I would take double Hunting Party over Province, but I didn't think they had enough money for that. That's interesting to me that CED chose to gain an estate off of their groom. I'm not totally sure why. I guess they decided it's better than doing nothing with the groom. I'm not sure if it is, though. Bit of a sad hint here for Cat Stealer. Whole bunch of terminals, no villages. Again, I think I would just play the groom for more silvers, probably. Oh, they take the flag bearer. Fair enough. Yeah, this is really looking a lot better for CED, I think. I think you gamble here once and then buy Hunting Party. Could also just buy gold. Would actually not be bad in this kingdom. Given the way their decks have gone, like, gold is actually not a bad card here. I think I would do the gamble for Hunting Party, though. Hunting Party is still probably better than gold, and you get the benefit of, in this case, discarding an estate. Or maybe you hit spoils, and then you could have bought Province outright, or you hit, like, not an ironmonger, an armory or a groom or something, you gain some cards. Action buy? Yeah, they take action buy. That seems sensible. Buy Province now, maybe? If they're just planning on gambling down to 8, then I'm not sure why they took the plus buy. They could have taken action coin for that purpose. Not to say that it's a bad play, like the gamble plus Province seems fine in the abstract. But if that was your plan, then there's no reason to use the pawn for plus buy. Gamble here, I would think. And then Hunting Party. Yeah, I mean, Cat Stealer has a temporary point sleep, but I think CED's deck is a lot stronger. You got a lot more of the 5 costs. They have 2 of the bandit camps to Cat Stealer's 1. It actually might be even on Hunting Parties. I was thinking CED had more. Okay, maybe it's actually still pretty close then. CED can Province here. I guess you have to watch out for a Hunting Party pile up. Like if you were in the lead and you hit 10 with a buy from your pawn, you get empty Hunting Parties. But I think they're close enough that it's likely going to end on Provinces. Yeah, I think this is still kind of anyone's game. Let's see. As cat stealer, I'd count this up and see if I could use the second buy productively. But one option here could be like Armory for pawn, Necropolis, Double Flag Bearer, Gamble Pawn for plus buy plus coin. And then how much money would that be? Because that would get you 2 buys. You'd have 3, 5, 8, 10, 12, 13, minus 2. That'd be plus 2 buys. You only have 11 to work with, I guess. So I guess it's not quite as good as I was thinking it might be. Like if they were in the lead, they could have just emptied the 2 hunting parties here for a win. Yeah, it does make sense to draw in with the gambles because you know none of your hunting parties are in the cards coming up because you just played all 4 of them. And so you kind of want to get back through your deck. Again, though, if their plan was just going to be to gamble it a bunch, like you calculate that out, then why not just take the coins from... Like, you could have top decked a silver or something. And then gambling silver costs nothing, whereas gambling that pawn cost you 1 coin. And you could have potentially gambled a little bit farther into your deck. Gotta be province. Okay, so now cat stealer is in a little of an awkward spot because if they take Dutch, no, never mind. I think that was 2 provinces up. They're in a fine spot. They'd take the 3rd to last province, then it'll be 23 to 21, and then I guess we get into some duchy dancing. Most likely. So I actually hadn't noticed this before, but cat stealer actually has won the flag war, but it does come at the cost of having 6 flag bearers in their deck to their opponent's 4. I guess that's worth doing. Like, I think I'd probably rather have the flag even if it came with the 2 extra cards, because in decks this thick, you're not going to see those flag bearers every single turn. But it's a little bit of a hollow victory to have 6 flags in a deck like this to win the flag war. Like this hand, for example. That's a lot of flags. Yeah, I think it's probably the best idea to just play it safe here, play the pawn for plus 1 coin and then buy the province, rather than try to hopefully draw a copper or something. Okay, so CED needs at least a duchy here. I think what they're really hoping to hit here would be 10 for double duchy. Don't think they have that though. Maybe they do. Maybe I think no, they don't have it. 4, 6, 7, 8. Duchy silver, I guess. That was quite a gamble. We'll see if that pays off. I don't think I would have been that bold. Yeah, it looks like Castiel's actually going to miss 8, but I would have thought that CED should just go into the duchies. Maybe they're thinking my opponent is the flag, that'll be more valuable as the decks get thicker. I'll just take the gamble and try to end it early. It's a bit risky. Like, even if Catstealer doesn't hit 8 here, which they don't, CED also does not hit 8, so they'll get a second shot at it. I'm not seeing anything that Catstealer could top deck with Armory that would be like particularly productive. I think you just top deck a silver for next turn and then don't try to gamble it. They put a pawn on top. Not sure what the purpose was for the pawn. I feel like silver is probably better for your deck at this point, and you're likely of hitting 8. Hunting Party is a real good card to find. Cat Stealer might still get to 8 here. Another Hunting Party. This is looking good. Why play the Necro first? Is your idea like playing pawn as like card plus coin, which you could do with Necropolis? Yeah, I think there could be an argument for that, especially if you're tracking your deck. The potential downside is they have a bajillion flag bearers in there, and so if they draw a second flag bearer, they'll need the extra action. Oh, that was a sad play. I think if they were following their deck, they could have known that the Hunting Party was down there and they shouldn't have gambled to it. Because now they've triggered a shuffle with like most of their Hunting Parties out of it. As it turns out, they hit 8 anyway, so it'll be fine if their opponent doesn't hit 8 here. So the CED, I think you have to go card plus... Oh, they got it anyway. I was thinking card plus coin, hope to draw a silver. But card plus action works with the spoils. That was a bit of a lucky draw, finding that spoils there at the end. That's like exactly the one card that could have saved him. Close one, though. Alright. That one, I think, kind of came down a bit to draws there at the end. But let's look at the deck composition. CED did have a lot more silvers. I think that's a result of having the early Groom. I think that's the benefit of Groom over Armory. And they weren't drawing 6 cards per turn, but they also had fewer flag bearers. And how many gainers did they have? They have 2 Grooms compared to Armory Groom, which I guess is actually about the same in that regard. They had more bandit camps, which is not bad. They had equivalent hunting parties. Maybe? I'm actually not sure about that. Like, CED's deck had just a bunch more silvers in it, and so I think that there's a decent chance that if they just continue along the lines where their decks start to fall apart, their deck falls apart less fast. Yeah, this is game 5, so each player will start one more time each. What do we do here? This kingdom looks a lot worse than the other kingdoms. So you got trashing with Catapult and or Amulet and Ambassador. And technically Mine, but again, Mine's kind of bad for the same reason Taxman is. We got Draw. Theoretically, Shantytown can draw if you have no other actions in your hand. Apothecary can draw coppers. What do you do here? I don't know. Given how terrible everything in this kingdom is, I'm kind of halfway tempted to just play like a apothecary-based deck. Like, there's something to be said for you get a potion, you get some apothecaries. You can even add a beggar if you want. Just put some coppers in your deck. You'll still want to trash the estates, but then you play like 2 apothecaries in a turn and a deck full of coppers and you'll hit 8. And then you can add Secret Passage in there to like re-top deck your coppers so that your apothecary draws them again. It's like Secret Passage could be an extra card to add. That's one option. I think you could maybe take like an amulet to trash the estates, like open amulet potion, trash estates with amulet, then buy some apothecaries and start greening. That's one thing. The other option I think would just be straight money strategy with like maybe open double amulet or amulet ambassador, and then get rolled in and add some silvers to your deck with amulet, and then you're just looking to green with those silvers. That deck could maybe play with a catapult to trash some silvers for curses, and then the attack. Not totally sure. I think in just a random ladder game, I'd probably do the Apothecary thing because it seems more fun. In a league match, I'd think about it a little bit harder. Ambassador is a strong attack, but if you're playing the Apothecary thing, you're actually less sad about your opponent giving you coppers than normal. We'll see. Actually, let's look what they open. So CED goes Beggar Cobbler. I think that signifies the Apothecary thing. They'll take a potion off of Cobbler, maybe. Catstealer does Cobbler nothing. They don't want the beggars. That's a mistake, actually. I misspoke when I said beggar. The beggar could signify the Apothecary thing, but just as likely, it's basically just like a free draw card. Because even if you don't want to play the Apothecary copper-focused strategy, you can just play the beggar for +2 cards and send it back to its pile. So it's basically like buying Ride. Ride being the event that gives you just like a horse once. Think of the beggar as just like a horse that you're buying for 2. It's better than nothing. So I think whatever deck you're going for, turn 2 passing on beggar was just a clear mistake by Catstealer. Because a beggar is just, at worst, a horse, which is better than nothing. Yes, the CED wasn't actually planning to go into, like, Apothecary stuff. They were just using the beggar for a draw, which makes sense. Catstealer is going for Apothecary, though. It's kind of funny to me that ambassadoring your opponent in state actually gets them points because of the Aqueduct. I think I like CED's position. Might consider taking a Shantytown here to resolve the terminal collision. And the downside is you have a Shantytown in your deck, and Shantytown's not a very good village. You might just decide not to play all your terminals. They'll surely play the beggar as a horse. But then the question is, do you play Ambassador or Catapult or take Shanty so you can play both? And I'm not totally sure. I guess it might be a moot point if their opponent attacks them with Catapult anyway. You could discard Ambassador Copper or Catapult Copper. I'm also not sure, but one of those. Interesting. They discarded... Oh, they reacted with the beggar, I understand. I was thinking they were discarding the beggar to the attack. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay, interesting. I still would have discarded one of the terminals. Like, I don't want to have to add a Shantytown to play both of them. I'd be happy just discarding, like, Catapult and sending 2 coppers back. Let's see what they take. Okay, they are going to try to play both. So I guess you put a silver back, play the Shantytown, trash copper with Ambassador, and trash silver with Catapult. I think is what I would do here. They put the Ambassador back, which makes me wonder why they took the Shantytown to begin with. Trashing the silver for a curse seems fine. Potion. It's alright. I think I'd play one of these ambassadors as a horse. Yeah, I would not mind finding my cobblers, because you can get one back anyway. As it turns out, they don't, but that's fine. Ambassador both coppers and buy a gold, I think. This kingdom is certainly weak enough that gold is not a bad card to have. Could just be another cobbler as well. It does seem like CED's got a pretty substantial lead here. The deck's a lot thinner and has a lot fewer junk cards in it. It might have been those early beggars. You know, I think Catstealer did pass up on some free draw here, where draw is kind of at a premium. It's also worth saying that Catstealer appears to have had a worse turn 3. You know, CED gets their... Oh, they didn't get their copper down. Never mind. I was going to say CED played their copper turn 3 rather than turn 4, but that's not true. They just bought a copper turn 3. Yeah, I'm guessing the beggars might have been a decent bit of difference in terms of why CED's deck kicked off first. Alright, I think it's CED. You trash this over here. Get in the attack. I think I would... maybe with this, you could top deck the potion, trash a copper, or... No, you top deck the potion, trash the silver, buy a gold. Sounds fine. Top deck the gold and buy apothecary also seems fine. What a lovely hand there. Okay, so you can definitely set this up so you can draw all of it. So you want to make sure your ambassador is not in the top 2 cards. Then you play the secret passage, put something back. Then you want to play the shanty. I would put the curse on the bottom. So you can put the curse on the top first, and then secret passage is back to the bottom. Then play the shanty to draw the... Oh, this is not the right order, I don't think. I'm pretty sure they could have set it up so they drew the ambassador with both estates to send those back. And then they can still do it. Put the ambassador back on top, then play the shanty town. Yeah, this is still fine. I was thinking, undo request is canceled. What are they? Yeah, I'm not sure what they were undoing. It's possible if they let's say they clicked on a state. They're like, I want to put a state back. You'd have to hit undo to unclick on the estate, which wouldn't be an information gaining thing. But it'd be hard for your opponent to tell whether or not you were whether you're doing that or not. That was an expensive. Expensive is not the right word. That was a valuable estate. I definitely would have considered sending the curse back rather than give my opponent that many points. Oh well. I wonder, do you pitch the ambassador here? You can consider it. Yeah, this looks very winning for CED. Hey, that'd be cute. I wonder if that's better than nothing. My guess is giving my opponent a gold is not worth 1 victory point, but it would be a fancy play. And they're going to get another attack here, I would assume. I think I would put the silver back on top. Trash silver, buy apothecary. Yep, they did that. Actually, maybe that's not the best. Maybe this the apothecaries actually aren't doing that much for you at this point. They've gotten rid of a lot of their coppers. I think I could have considered trashing the potion to get that out of my deck, because that's kind of a junk card now, and just buy another gold. I'm now thinking that might have been better. Because late in the game, I'd rather not have the potion in my deck than have it. It is going to get in the way. And I'd rather have the silver in my deck than not have it. So trashing the potion does seem kind of nice. So this is nice. You can use the secret passage to put the copper back into your deck at a spot where the apothecary will draw it. Like put it 2 from the top, for example. Yeah. That's also possible, yeah. Okay, so it's Cat Stealer. I'm definitely looking to draw that Ambassador so I can send back 2 curses. Their deck just doesn't have a whole lot of money in it, so I guess... I guess you might need to take a coin here and just take Province, because like if they try to build, I think they're just 2 behind, and they're probably losing no matter what. But I would have thought maybe... Wait, why are they returning 1 curse? Are they going to try to curse them to death? I guess. It's really hard to say what the best thing to do is in cast this position, because like the odds of winning are so low. Maybe you do weird, like, very gambly stuff, like go all in on the Ambassador curses here. Which feels too slow to me from this position, but everything also kind of looks too slow in general. SCED, I'm definitely thinking about liquidating some of these action cards here. Like, pitch the Catapult. Oh, well. Guess not. You could have drawn around to your Cobbler if you wanted. Yeah, so as Catstealer, I really want to score here. I guess that means buying an estate. So it's like a 3-point estate. I don't like the beggar as much. There's 2 points in the Aqueduct, Matt. And I mean, if your opponent gets even more of those points, you're in trouble. SCED, I would just buy Duchy here. Or just pair up the Aqueduct map even further. Well, now Catstealer gets a 9-point province at least. Maybe they're going to have a chance after all. Yeah, I really dislike that gold buy last turn from CED. You passed up on 5 points and gave your opponent an extra point. Oh, a lot of extra points. I don't think gold is worth you not scoring 2 plus your opponent scoring 3. Put the beggar back on top. Trash copper by province. Yep, that looks like they're doing that. I still think CED is in the lead, all that being said, but it is all of a sudden a bit closer after that gold buy. My neighbor is weeding in the background. I hope the noise is not too loud. Why are they playing their ambassador? Surely plays. Oh, I see. It looked like they were playing it normally rather than horse, but it only appears that way visually because their opponent was in the middle of reacting with the beggar. Yeah, this play order makes more sense to me. Trash the potion? Yeah. Buy a duchy? The golds just seem kind of risky because they power up the aqueduct mat for your opponent each time. Like, Catstealer's going to get another very valuable province here. This one will be worth 8. And like if we're trying to let him back on the game, I think this is kind of how it goes. Trash copper by province. I think CED is still in the lead, especially if they can hit 8 here. But it is now closer all of a sudden. Like if CED can get this next province, I think they're still in a very comfortable spot, which looks like they will. Put the gold and silver on top. We'll leave the apothecary to be drawn next turn. Yeah, I think CED is still going to win this. As catstealer, I mean, even both provinces now are not enough points. I think you gotta take that province though and just like hope for a miracle somehow. Like, there's no point for catstealer and duchy dancing because if your opponent gets one more province, there's just 0% chance you win. Your only path to a win involves getting both those provinces anyway, so you might as well buy one of them now. I think, with the acknowledgement that you're very likely going to lose. And then you hope for like you get to province twice plus some like ambassador curse play or something. They don't even have their ambassador anymore. Yeah, I think they're kind of in a tough spot. I think I'd buy a beggar here as CED or any action card really. I don't. Beggar's actually worse. Buy any of the 3-cost actions: Shantytown, Catapult, Amulet, whatever. Because I think I would value a horse, which is functionally what you're buying, by buying an action card over a silver, given that you're only going to play it like the once. And I think a one-shot laboratory is better than a one-shot silver. Curse on bottom, I would think. Maybe province on bottom. You'd rather keep the curse in your hand in case you draw your ambassador, whereas there's no real utility to the... Well, actually, no, you'd rather keep the province in your hand if you draw your ambassador because you can win. I guess estate on bottom is actually probably the best play. Yeah, so what's going on here is it kind of looks, I imagine, from catstealer's perspective, like CED is trying to undo having drawn cards in the first place. But in reality, what's happened is, although it doesn't show up in the log, CED has chosen which card to put back, and it's trying to change which card they're choosing to put back. So there's actually no information being revealed. Because it's not going to undo, I don't think, the draw. I think they're going to figure out what's going on. Yeah, I think Estate's probably the best card to put on bottom. Like, there's scenarios where you might want Ambassador Curse or Ambassador Province. Like, if you hit 8 plus Ambassador, you want Ambassador Province, because you lower the provinces by 1 and buy the last one, then it's just to win that turn. If you don't hit 8, probably the safer play is just to Ambassador the Curse. Wow, that's quite the hand coming up. Yeah, they're going to hit Province that turn and the next turn. Seems like a fair design. Alright, so I think that's now 3-2 for CED, is that right? They quite the comeback because after catstealer won the first 2. So now catstealer looking to tie it up. CED looking to pull ahead. What have we here? The lack of a 3-cost action card is kind of annoying because I'd really love to procession lackeys here. But what do we have? Action. Lackeys gives you villagers. Crown gives you action. Procession gives you action, so those cards might be important. Draw. Werewolf draws. Scrying Pool draws. Lackeys draws. Plus buy. We have Fair, which will be plus buy. And you can gain stuff off of upgrade, I guess. That's about it. And then trashing, upgrade trashes. And then Tomb will give you points for trashing. So you're definitely looking to build here. I think my main goal here is basically just like score a billion Tomb points. You can draw a bunch of cards with your scrying pools. You can do weird procession upgrade stuff. And you'll get a ton of points off of lots of trashing happening. Fair is kind of important to get because you're limited on your plus buys. I think the first five you get is definitely going to be upgrade. Probably the second five, maybe even the third five as well, to be honest. Like Crown and Werewolf both seem reasonably good. You might get distant lands eventually, but I think the card I want most is upgrade. Yeah, the lack of a 3-cost action card really does hamstring Procession a bit, but given that you're getting lackeys anyway, I think I'd add Procession just for the sake of trashing those lackeys for draw. Not necessarily immediately, but at some point. Let me look at their openings. Catstealer opened Potion. They both opened Potion Lackeys. I think Potion Lackeys seems like the best opening to me. You don't want to get behind on Scrying Pools because it's a great draw. Lackeys seems better than Silver for those purposes. Makes you almost guaranteed to find your potion. Unless you bottom deck both Potion and Lackeys. Is that right? Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. Catstealer gets an early fair. That seems fine to me. CED gets upgrade. That also seems good. So CED had like a perfect shuffle turn 3, turn 4. They got to buy Scrying Pool and buy upgrade. That is quite good. Catstealer is slightly suboptimal, but still not bad. Oh, yeah, Scrying Pool fair is like a little bit worse, but it's still not bad. Surely this is a upgrade, right? They bought a crown? They don't have an upgrade yet, do they? You want to get trashed. I don't know why they bought a crown before they bought their first upgrade. And as Catstealer, I really want to trash cards. It both makes your deck better and scores you points. I'm not sure they've passed up on the upgrade. Let's see. Yeah, like CED's already played their upgrade 3 times. Catstealer's obviously played theirs none because they don't have one yet. It's already looking pretty bad. Second upgrade. They took a crown, which seems a little bit worse to me, but not bad. Crown's a good card. Like, I really just want to be playing lots of upgrades and stuff and score lots of points off of Tomb and then think about the endgame later. Scrying Pools run out, upgrades and or processions and or lackeys will all get low. You can score some with distant lands by like upgrade stuff into procession, upgrade procession into, or procession into distant lands even. Procession? Take a procession. I would take procession here. I would be happy to get the lackeys back out of my deck because, I mean, you kind of buy them for the villagers for the most part, and they get bad eventually. And you get to trash the lackeys with procession, you get to draw 2 extra cards by doing so, and you get a point from Tomb. Buying the lackeys isn't bad though. I mean, lackeys is still a good card to buy. Alright, as Catstealer, you really need to buy upgrade here. Upgrade lackeys. Alright, so they did get upgrade lackeys, that's good. But they're still so much slower to trash. Wait, let me look at this play order. I don't like this play order at all from CED. They played their upgrade first. Again, I would think in the early game, playing upgrade a bunch is just the most important goal. I would draw with the scrying pool first in hopes of finding the crown, so I could crown my upgrade. And then play 2 of them in that turn. Alright, got 2 buys here. This could be crown upgrade, procession upgrade, procession crown. I think some combination of 2 of those cards. I'm thinking maybe procession, procession on one of those. And then you can upgrade your potion into another one of those. And then you crown one upgrade, crown the other upgrade, and then you're really happy. Because I think it also behooves CED to lower piles quickly, because they have a short-term lead here of being thinner and having more points. And so as CED, I'd be very happy to make the upgrade and or crown and or procession pile run very low. I like that Catstealer is crowning their upgrade. Take a second upgrade here? Yeah. Like, if you want to come back, I would think this is the best way to do it. Is you really got to get caught up on trashing. I think you would turn an estate into a silver here, probably. Yeah. And then probably just do it again. I mean, you could consider turning the silver into a procession. Is Catstealer procession crown? I think I would take procession crown. I mean, you could take Procession Province even. Like, piles that are running really low, you might just need the extra points. And then maybe your goal is to get, like, another Procession off of upgrading a silver, and then you can process that Procession and still be fine. I'm not totally sure. They take Crown Upgrade. Yeah, that's alright. I'd really rather the Procession, but again, they can get Processions by upgrading silvers into Procession. So surely CED crowns upgrade here. Drawing with scrying pool first is fine, but as far as what I want to use my crown on, surely it's the upgrade. They play their lackeys, okay. Crown, upgrade. What are you getting? I would have thought that you would take a procession off of one of those silvers. But I guess not. I would think you lead with the scrying pool there. Again, the thing I most want to play my crown on is the upgrades. That looks like it wouldn't have mattered. They probably wouldn't have drawn anyway. Bit of an unfortunate shuffle. Trash copper by procession. I take 2 lighthouses instead. That's not bad. I mean, it's money. And it can be drawn with your scrying pool. But this game seems like it's coming to a big finish soon. I'd really like to have some big procession turn at the end. Alright, so you can crown upgrade, get another upgrade and a procession off of potion and silver. I would have trashed the silver first so you could draw the procession. Then you could like procession the lackeys to draw the upgrades. Whatever order you want to do it in. Swamp Hag, interesting. I'm not a big fan of the Swamp Hag. I think I'd be happy to take curses because I can trash them with upgrades and they're with +1 point from me. And your opponent's buying a max of 2 cards, so it's not like they take too many curses too fast. Double procession. Crown Lighthouse is alright. I'm kind of getting the impression at this point that just neither of them plans to play with procession. It's a shame. As Cat Stealer, I'm probably looking to pick up an extra upgrade here somehow. Turn silver into procession. Maybe upgrade the procession back into another upgrade. Yeah, upgrade silver into procession. Then you could like lackeys for that. When you upgrade silver into procession, play your upgrade, trash procession into another upgrade, then play lackeys to draw it, trash a copper or trash silver into another procession, play your lighthouse, and then buy stuff. Wonder what lines they're thinking of. Double distant lands. I think I'm not a fan of that. It lowers what seems to be a pile that CED is going for pretty substantially. And yeah, I mean, it's not terrible, but I feel like I'm not a big fan. I just want to be doing more procession things, score points that way. Why does CED never crown their upgrades? Why are you getting the crowns if not to play upgrade more times? Make 2 distant lands. As CED are we talking about? Yeah, I would think that's a pretty good play. Like, wait, can you do 2? Oh, I see that. Yeah, they didn't crown either upgrade. So like, crown both upgrades, silver to procession, procession to distant lands, play both. Yeah, that seems like a pretty good line to me. Still unclear as to why they're not crowning their upgrades. Because you would score 4 points from trashing 4 things, plus 8 points from the distant lands. Plus, you could then, like, you could probably safely buy the last one and think your opponent can't pile out and score that many points if you wanted to. I assume they're just going to crown their silvers again, which just seems a lot worse. That being said, it still looks to be winning. I think the big issue here was Catstealer was just way too late to the upgrades. And they're about to expend their final villager, I would think. Yep. Bit unfortunate there. They can't even get both distant lands down. Actually, maybe they can. Turn a silver into procession, then draw it, and then maybe you like procession your upgrade or something. I think that might be worth it, honestly. You could play 2 upgrades, take 2 processions, play a scrying pool, procession, distant lands, distant lands. I think that might be the best play. Okay, they're going to take a crown. This is also an okay way to play all of it. I think this works. Crown the upgrade. I guess you just trash the 2 curses. I would have considered taking a procession here, but you can't play it. Like, you can't process lackeys and play both distant lands. So I think just trash both curses and play both distant lands. And then by province, yeah. Now I think CED should win here if they draw. So I think you probably just crown the lackeys. Oh, they're going to trash the silvers. Now they're willing to crown the upgrade, the one time I thought that they shouldn't. This is still fine though. Take a second procession. And then you can process procession and get your distant lands that way. Yeah, this should still be winning. Or, actually, even simpler is just draw those processions and then crown upgrade and turn both processions into distant lands. It's probably even simpler. Yeah, that's the one they're going for. This is now a win. Alright, so it looks like final score is 4 for CED, 2 for Catstealer. Catstealer had a 2-0 lead, but CED brought it back. Good games, good luck to y'all in your future matches, and I will see everybody around later.